If you'd like to ask what got you into horror, then that'd be awesome. If not, it's not a big deal.
I can do it. I got this.
You got this. All right.
We'll just, we'll try to give you a little more notice than, 30 seconds next time.
Yeah. Or I mean, at least he's telling me this time instead of just being quiet and waiting for me to guess.
That's true.
Yeah, we're still working on it. All right. Welcome to Dead Headspace. You can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Ghana, and all other major platforms, which includes Alexa. All you have to do is say, Alexa, play Dead Headspace podcast, and you'll get the latest one every Monday and Thursday. Pretty soon it's just going to be Monday, but for now, Monday and Thursday. I'm your host, Patrick R. McDonough, joined always by my co-host, Brennan LaFaro. Say hello, Brennan.
Hello, everybody. Did you almost just butcher my name again? It's been like 6 months.
No one's going to get that reference. They don't listen to the first episodes. Today, we're joined again by our guest host, Cassie Daly. Say hi, Cassie.
Hello.
And we have a fun, bouncy, special guest. And in case anyone took that the wrong way, I mean that with love. Our Nico Bell, she's a writer, reviewer, editor, and now, I believe now, it wasn't before, right? Now you're also a publisher.
Yes, I am. I'm very excited. And I also got Brennan's name wrong, but I actually did it publicly when I announced the writers to my anthology. His last name is actually, I think it was LaFargo or something like that is what I said. Or LaFaux, which I think is now official.
Which sounds...
Yeah.
That's a cool villain name, honestly.
I'm just helping you out, man. I'm just helping you out. So now on, your name is Brennan LaFaux, so it's official. It was.
I'll take it. I could use a pen name.
But that's, I should, eggs on me though, because like I fucked up his last name in the first like 4 chronologically, the 4 episodes we recorded together. I don't know. LaFargo works though, or LaFaux.
I do like Fargo, the TV show and the movie. So
Chris Rock. I'm
easy. I'm easy.
There you go.
All right.
You're welcome.
All you, Cassie.
All right, so we like to get the show started with asking our guests how they got into horror. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you, Nico, got into horror?
Okay, I know you guys asked this question, and I was thinking about it, and it all came down to 2 words: sexy vampires. And I can trace my love of horror all the way back to Brad Pitt, An Interview with the Vampire. So I can just thank him and his lusciousness for getting me into horror, because I was like terrified as a kid as everything under the sun, like everything. Like I saw Terminator 2 and I stacked books on my air vent because I was afraid the Terminator would liquefy and come up into my room. Like that's how terrified I was. But like Brad Pitt with that hair and just his like, oh, woe is me. Like that was it. I was done.
He is dreamy.
He is dreamy. Thank you. Yes. He still got it. So it's all good. So that is my love of horror. Started in a very non-threatening way with being probably inappropriately obsessed with Brad Pitt as a vampire as a young, impressionable young female. And it really just spiraled out over there. Has anybody else said sexy vampire as their lure into horror? Am I the first?
I mean, you're the first that I've been on. Is she the first total?
Yeah.
I'm the first that admitted it. I bet if you go back, there are like a bunch of people that would say it.
Who would you ask, Brennan, that we've talked to so far if they started their love affair with horror through sexy vampires and or Brad Pitt?
I can tell you who I would not ask is I would not ask Laurel Hightower, because I think she'd throw a book at me.
Oh no!
I would ask Alan Baxter. I don't know why, but I feel like that would deservedly get a karate chop in the neck.
And possibly a really interesting story.
They're just so much fun, and they're so not very threatening in the terms of like when I watched Halloween as a kid, that scared the shit out of me. Like a man in a mask with a knife, like come on, that's freaky. Or like arachnophobia, like I still cannot be around spiders. But like vampires, you're like, I think I can handle it. And so from there, it was just anything I could get my hands on. And then, the older I got and the more like desensitized I got. And really the more I started writing it and realizing that I could use it as like therapy for just sort of the darkness within my soul, that sort of really helped too. So yeah.
Is that what you started writing first, is vampire fiction?
No, I wrote, so I started actually in romance.
Oh,
And then,
Ooh.
and then Christian romance,
Oh.
and then horror. So obviously that's a natural progression from happily ever after to God loves you to, and now the devil is coming up and ripping out your soul. So very linear. But yeah,
how old were you?
I started writing when I was in 3rd grade. And my first, I wrote a novel about a Native American girl who was adopted by English family and did not know she was adopted, and then found a bunch of artifacts in her attic that signified that she was adopted. And that was the very first story I wrote.
That's an interesting first. Wow.
Yeah,
I would read that.
Yeah, for a 3rd
Holy
grader,
shit.
though, that's pretty like, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big world view for a 3rd grader.
Yeah, no
Like,
shit.
Oh, I just, whatever. It's just something I did in my spare time.
For audio listeners, she just flipped her hair as if she was just not a snobby writer.
We love that energy.
I told you, I have a lot of energy tonight. You guys are going to get it, whether you want it or not.
I love Native American lore and history, and I don't think that we see enough of the actual side through Native American eyes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying it has to be written by a Native American, but in a respectful way. And it sounds like you have a really 3rd grade. Jesus Christ. I can't believe. I'm sorry, but that's impressive. What I did, I got one of the oldest pieces I got is from the 2nd grade, where UFOs and space saucers come down. The kids like, I'm gonna go to the punching bag store, or not a punching bag store. Sorry, there's like a no. I'm sorry, not a punching bag. It's like a punching glove on a spring, and he's like, I'm gonna get that. Buys it, uses it to punch a UFO in the sky, and he wins. That's
cool.
Yeah, well, that's what a child would write. That's not what you
Have you seen
wrote.
a store that was exclusively to sell those items?
See, Little Pat's a fucking idiot. Nico, that's so creative, and just I'm just flabbergasted at the world difference of Little Pat and Little Nico. Like, you are so much smarter. I'd be like,
You know what though?
Well-
It comes down to suspension of disbelief. And if you can suspend your disbelief enough to entertain the idea of an alien invasion, then why not a punching glove store? If that's the biggest thing that you have trouble buying in that, I'll do you one better, because the first story I remember of her writing around that 3rd grade range was also an alien invasion. But the twist at the end was that the whole thing had sprung because this particular civilization was out of ketchup, and they were looking to replenish their supply and head back and finish their picnic. It was.
I love that so much. Like that's amazing.
I was gonna say, somehow that sounds even worse out loud than it did in my head.
No.
Fantastic.
Were you out of ketchup in real life as a child at the time?
what happened?
And where that sprung from.
So, Brennan just admitted on air, this is exclusive. He has therapy through writing as a young age of 3rd grade as well. How about you, Cassie? What was your first that you remember?
I was in 4th grade, so you guys started a little bit earlier than me.
Oh, wait, you told us this before.
I did. Yep.
I heard it.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So I wrote a story that was, I thought of the amazing title that I was very proud of, and it was called The Best Friend Feud Fight. And I was fighting with my best friend at the time. And I wrote a story about 2 little girls, and one of them kills the other. And I showed it to her. And she was so upset that she got really mad at me. And she said, that's a stupid name. Feud and fight are the same word anyway. And she told me it was dumb. And then she told the teacher. And I got in trouble for writing a story about a little girl killing another little girl.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised they didn't put you in therapy or have a really big discussion with your parents or something.
Were there any repercussions from that?
No, really. They were just I think I actually did have to talk to my teacher though. And it was more where did you get this? And I watched a lot of Freddy Krueger. And so I told them that I was one of the her death was from Freddy Krueger. There was a claw that came out and killed her while she was driving. So I mean, it wasn't just out of nowhere. I wasn't like a little baby psycho or anything.
This is the genre to encourage that. Nico, would you like to dive into the first step of the 3-step process of your writing genre phase? That sounded weird. I should just say, hey, you want to talk about romance writing first, then Christian
Okay.
writing?
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, do I have a 3-phase process? I don't think I do. Okay.
See, look, I
Yeah.
started out sounding like a smart, then it's like, hey, Nico, I got a question.
It's all planned out, all part of the plan.
You sound kind of like Yogi Bear.
Okay, number one, my first phase was romance, which I started in college. I had a really bad college experience, and romance was like my escape from that. And I loved it so much. Like, I read trashy romance. Like, I mean, I guess it doesn't surprise you guys when like Brad Pitt is my like go-to, but yeah, and I loved it. And I was like, and I always wanted to be a writer, so I was like, you know what, I think I can do this. So I wrote horrible romance novels, and then later in life, I sort of got into Christian romance. And I wanted to be a progressive liberal Christian. I wanted to write stories with gay characters who found love and acceptance. And I wanted to write about women who had abortions and found love and acceptance and how the church loves them and everything. As you can probably imagine, did not sell. I was told by many agents that this was not going to happen. And I was actually okay. Like, I was prepared to go and like of liberal Christianity. But my characters kept dying in very gruesome ways. And I think it became very obvious that I'm not a happily ever after person. And I think like one of my critique partners was just like, you just have to stop. Like, this is getting ridiculous. And then I just kind of embraced like that just dark aura around you, like around horror writers. You know, I just kind of embraced like all of that. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to dive headfirst into what I really love, which was horror, and just see where that goes. So that was it. Step 3.
I think that you should explore. That's an interesting way how you get to horror. I think you should try Amish romance because I've noticed when I went to Lancaster, PA, that shit's everywhere. I did
Oh
not
my God.
know. I did not know that existed until I went to Lancaster for the first time.
Oh, I've read Amish romances. They're very sweet. Like, romances have, you know, formulas to like how things should be, which is what I had a problem following with, like, you know, everybody getting married and happy at the end. But like romance is like a $6 billion industry. I mean, it's like horror. Like, there's a lot in it. And everybody kind of is like, oh, it's genre fiction. You know, they kind of look like, oh, put their nose up in the air for genre fiction. But I love genre fiction. I still love to read romance occasionally. And yeah, so that's it.
I remember, and I haven't talked about this before because there was never really, it didn't correlate or relate to anything, but it does with this. Um, I remember one of my oldest friends growing up, we would always be in his parents' room just playing different games, and his mom had a massive paperback collection, all romance.
Is this gonna
And
get weird?
no, it's not gonna get weird. I did not step in the room and see the mom or dot dot. No, that's really the whole story. It's really not even worth bringing up at this point because I thought there was an ending. But I was just so curious as like a little boy, like what it kind of looks like naughty covers, but I'm not gonna read it. So, for your experience, when you say trashy romance, what would you say is the difference between trashy romance and like good storytelling in the romance genre?
Sex. Lots and lots and lots of sex. I mean, in romance, there's levels, and obviously in Christian, you're going to leave it off page. But in, I mean, erotic, obviously, you can really get into it. So, you know, it's just fun, whatever. It's just, you know, another form of literature, if you will. And yeah, they actually have erotic horror. I don't know if you guys have ever read any of it. That's not really my subgenre that I like, but I mean, there's a lot of that out there too. So, you know, if you want to check that out, I'm sure that would be fun.
Rich makes fun of me for those because I have a whole collection of what he calls my vampire sex books.
See?
And they are they're I love them and they're so good. And they are about a girl who is like a vampire executioner, hunter, whatever.
Ooh.
And then the other ones are like about like this lady who's like part like fairy or something. And like there's so much sex, like, and it's all kinds. It's not just vampires, but then there are like were-people, and then there are like there's a lot of sex with a lot of different people, and then they've got like abilities that make them have more sex. It's wild. It's wild.
Wow, that
Yeah.
sounds interesting. And let me just say, from someone who has written it, it is hard, wink, wink, to write to write romance sex scenes. It's actually very difficult. And when you write and you like submit, they come back and they're like, you need more description. You need more description. So it actually is really kind of tricky. Like, how many ways can you say like it was throbbing or whatever, you know? So it actually is pretty challenging.
The way you describe this, for some reason, what pops in my head is that Twitter profile where it's like men writing bad women.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Those men, I swear, I've never seen a vagina in their lives. It's just redonkulous. It's awful. I know I can curse. Can I say vagina? Is that allowed?
Yeah, but you can't say pussy.
Okay. So we have
is
a
that true?
fine line.
No, it's not true.
Oh God, you can't do that. We are so gullible. You know this. We've talked about this.
Sorry. Yeah, you can really say anything except for like, obvious racist shit.
So just don't be a bad person.
Yeah, don't be a bad person.
That's a good life quote. That's a good life motto.
Try to live by it.
Brendan and Cassie, why don't you take over?
Cassie, you
I
got
think it's the first one. Wait.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay. So actually that kind of brings me into an actual question and not just like a spirally conversation about sex vampires. So you describe yourself as a feminist horror author, and that seems like a really good place to go after bringing up men who write women badly. So well, first of all, can you kind of describe to us, what you mean by that, I guess, label, if you want to call it a label?
Yeah, I should really make that like a feminist in training. I don't know if I'd ever really like hit feminist level. Like there's always something you can learn about it. But I just want to write women represented fairly equally, but also have them be villains and have them be really strong protagonists and have all female casts. I mean, there's so many books out there that are all men or there's just one token female and nobody bats an eye. And then you see somebody write a book that's all female and like that becomes the big takeaway. And let's get beyond that. Like it's okay, to have a book that's all female or with a female villain and just to kind of explore that. So I want to represent women. I want to write about things that are important to women. I just want to give like a platform to feminism through horror. And hopefully, I don't know if I've really hit it. I don't know if I've like found my voice yet in that, but I hope to one day achieve that. When people like read a Nico Bell book, they're like, we know we're going to get some sort of feminism in here. That's the ultimate goal.
And I think you're in the right genre for it because there's just so many like wonderful, strong women writing in this and just basically showing us how it's done. And I think Food Fright is just like a really fantastic example of that. It has that excellent female cast, and it does such a great job of kind of differentiating the roles in it. Of you introduce this big cast and everybody has their part to play. Everybody is individualized and you don't miss, you don't need a teenage boy thrown in there or anything like that. You're not missing it at all. And obviously I would ask if that was a conscious decision, but I'm sure it absolutely was.
Well, thank you. Yes, it was a conscious decision. That is actually something I think, like, do I have to have this character be a man? And if I don't, then I'm not going to make him a man, so I was really inspired by Jordan Peele, and he had an interview and they asked like, why are you going to have like more white characters? And he said something like, no, I've seen that movie. Like the idea like, no, I've already seen movies full of white characters. And that really stuck with me. And at the time I was writing a book that had plenty of men in it. And I was like, why am I doing this? I'm doing this for no other reason than the fact that every book I read has a lot of men in it, and they don't need to be men. There's no need for it. So why not put them as women and give them female qualities and characteristics, and then let them be badass females, you know? So that's what I'm playing at these days.
And I think the thing that immediately came to my mind was that whole notion that's come about recently of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's comments on, when will there be enough women on the Supreme Court? And it's like, when it's 9. And the immediate response to that is that's a crazy notion. But why? Because there have been plenty of, full courts that are just men. So why is it a wild notion that it could be all women, and why would that be a bad thing? We've certainly not to go political on us guys, sorry, but we've certainly seen that misnomer about how women are too emotional to be president. Well, that's bullshit and right out the fucking window, isn't it?
Hey, I just gotta jump in real quick. We're not a political podcast, so please don't say fuck Trump, because fuck Trump and also fuck Trump. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Nico. Seriously, Brennan, don't say fuck Trump. Sorry,
Don't say
Nico,
fuck
go.
Trump.
God.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. That's it. Ruth's quote there. I love that quote. That and why not? Why not? Women bring something different. Everybody brings a different point of view to the table, and I think it's time that we have another big surge of feminism and let people say what they want to say, and let women have their voice. Not just women, non-binary, whoever. Like, let's let this table open up to everybody. Let's just squeeze more chairs on and let everybody have a chance. There's room for all of us. I don't understand why we can't all join the table at the top. There's room for all of us, people.
I got a question that I've been thinking about with all this talks about Proud Boys and other races is like, we're the same fucking species. Like, if you there's billboards, at least down here in New Jersey and Philly, where it shows just different colored skeletons. You don't know what fucking race it is or gender or whatever. I don't get how you see surface level and you're like, don't like them. Don't have to hear him or her or whatever or them. Don't like them because they are a different color. Like, it's so strange. Aren't they kind of fucking dumb to be to be like, I don't like them based on the character or that they're a dick? It's just they could be a sweetheart. Don't care. I that's a question for all you three. I don't get it.
I'm just gonna leave you out there to dry.
Yes, Patrick. Racists are stupid.
Yes.
We hate to see it. Okay, so I'm gonna. Sorry,
go ahead, Cassie.
Did you have more serious stuff? Because I was gonna go into a less serious direction.
Yeah. If you don't mind me squeezing one more thing in before
squeeze it in.
Hey, we're talking about hard.
Sorry.
Wink.
Fuck
Yeah.
Okay. Referencing Nico's earlier comments.
Yeah, okay. This is why we have video, so we can see jokes. So I would say, this just seems like the perfect time to be making that move towards that all-inclusive fiction that, you certainly seem a proprietor of and a big proponent of. Just with the amount of children I work with on a weekly basis and, just seeing my own at 8 and 10, they're just so much more open than, you might expect to be on the surface level. When we had to have those tough conversations about race starting back in like May and June, the empathy demonstrated and the understanding of, treating everyone equal and the lack of understanding on why there would be anything different. And then even moving towards, both my boys are homeschooled, and my wife put together a unit on Ruth Bader Ginsburg after she passed last week. They did lessons on that all the last week, and it's only kind of striking me as I'm speaking, but there was no, wow, a woman can do that. They just they accept it at face value. They don't see any reason why that's not possible. Why the world would cater itself to be in such a way that only one type of person could kind of go that far and make that kind of a difference. So yeah, that's my semi-serious spiel. And Cassie, if you would like to take us in a different direction, please feel free.
Can I actually add to that?
Absolutely.
As a new dad, like I was saying, because I just thought you saying that shit just made me think of something that I was saying to myself, and I think you earlier. I would love my boy. He's only 10 months old. Like whatever he likes to do or is or whatever, that's fine. But I would really hope he's ends up writing a little bit and loves horror. Like that's my hopes. If he doesn't like it, all right, it's gonna suck. But and then I thought, as Brennan was just saying it, I'm like, I think that not only do I want him to like it because I like it, I think I want him to do that because when the deeper you go into the horror community, most people are awesome. There's so many diverse people. You get different opinions. It's not just like before I joined this, and no offense to you being still in Massachusetts, but Brennan, but no, I was in a small town. I wasn't like a part of any online community, and it's just all Irish, Italians, Portuguese for the most part of where I lived, and I got kind of one kind of view, and that's all I had. But joining the horror community, I hear different voices. I'm reading a lot of different stories. I'm expanding my mind, so I'm becoming more loving, empathetic, and I think generally a good person. So I think as a dad, that's why I want him to like it, because I feel like he'll be a better person for it. Which then, in effect, like us talking, someone else will hear this, or maybe more, and they're like, didn't think of it like that. Hopefully that's the goal, you know? That's why we do this, to spread love, empathy, and connection. So that's all I got to say on the serious stuff.
I like the serious stuff. I didn't want to seem vapid by comparison, is really because I'm about to talk about food. So this is really why I just wanted some sort of segue. Because Brennan actually brought up Food Fright, which I read before this, and our episode, because I like to have things like really fresh in my brain. So I started this on my Kindle, and then I ordered it when I knew that I was going to be doing this on like a physical copy, so I could get it. So I need to talk to you about all this food because I got hungry like 4 times when I was reading this, and it was so strange for me to be hungry and then immediately read about like really gory bits and gross stuff. So I want to hear from you. What inspired you to write something so gross but also so delicious? And tell us about, like, do you like cooking? Do you like baking? Like, I think I read an interview actually on Fright Girl Summer recently, like over the last couple of months, where you were talking about this book, and I think you did say you liked baking. So please just tell me about the food because it was so delicious, that croissant.
Yes, everybody loves the croissant. I love that people love the croissant. In my mind, his name is Francois, by the way. But
is it Francois Lafargo?
Yes, that's it. That's his name from now on. That's it. Yeah, so when they always tell you to write what you know, well, I know food. I love to bake, actually. It's the one thing that really I was connected to with family was food. You know, I come from an Italian family. We eat a lot all the time. That's our love language. And baking was the one thing kind of that me and my mom really had in common. And something I brought into adulthood and I do with my kid. And I started home bakeries, and I have done that for a while. And so I know bakeries, I know food, I know desserts. And so I really wanted to incorporate that into the horror element of this. And then it was just a matter of like turning off that inner editor and being like, we're just going to really go for this. And there was like a point I remember when I was writing, kind of a spoiler, the brownie monster. And I was typing and I was thinking, am I seriously going to write a girl eating her way out of a brownie monster? Like, is that really going to be something I put in a book? And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. And I just loved it so much. I just loved like turning off that editor and being like, let's just have fun. Let's just see what type of foods we can put into this story and just really go for it and make it, in my mind, like a B horror movie, like a movie that's so bad you love. And that's what I was going for. Just something so over the top and silly and ridiculous and campy, which is what Eddie asked for and he got in all of it. It's so amazing. I love the whole series. And so that's really where it came from. It was inspired from Eddie, from putting out that submission call and then just having a whole lot of fun with it.
I think you nailed it, because the rest of the books that I've read in this series are like exactly like you said, like B movie, like horror things, and they would be so much fun to watch. And this would be, I was thinking that the entire time I was reading it, I was like, God, I wish I could watch this girl eat her way out of the brownie man. Like, that would be so cool. Like, so many of these things I can picture like so clearly, and I loved it. It was so good and gross and delicious. What are some of your favorite things to bake?
I love to bake cakes, and I love to bake cakes. I got really into it, because of all the cake shows on TV and stuff. So I really got into that, into decorating. But when I had a bakery, at first I had an allergy-friendly bakery, so no gluten, dairy, eggs, things like that. And then I had a home bakery that was just donuts, made out of potato donuts, and that was so fun.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Please.
What is that?
They might just be something from this kind of region. Well, I used to live in Virginia, and where I went to college, there was a bakery that had spud nuts. So they're made out of potatoes and they're donuts. And they were really good. And all that means is it's just really soft and chewy and more like a cake donut than a yeast donut. And so when I moved and started a new bakery here, I was like, I'm going to play on this a little bit. And they were gourmet. So they had, Oreos on top or popcorn or bacon or whatever.
Oh
and
my God.
I know. I'm like drooling. There's like saliva dripping down my face.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. I had to stop. It was so much work, but it was a lot of fun while I had it. Yeah.
Jeez Louise. I'm sorry. I'm stunned into silence from just thinking about these spud nuts. My mind is blown. I didn't expect that from this.
Speaking of Massachusetts, you should open a shop there. I mean, fucking Irish Central, and he said potato donuts, and people were American, so we're fat asses too. I love donuts.
It does seem like there's a market there for it.
Come to California. There's a market here. I am the market.
Yeah. Before we talk more about Food Fright, I just wanted to go back to one more thing about, and it's funny, it's silly, about men writing horror. I mean, men writing women. Men writing horror. So have any of you heard of the podcast, which was turned into a comedian HBO special? It's called My Dad Wrote a Porno.
Yes, I love it. I've listened to all of it. It's ridiculous.
So just so the cliff notes. The the pseudonym for the author is Rocky Flintstone. And it's the basic premise is that it's a British podcast hosted by a group of people. Each episode features this guy Morton reading a new chapter of an amateur erotic novel titled Belinda Blinked.
Yes, Belinda!
It's written by basically it's just like everything that men write women. Talks about seeing her cervix, for example. It's just he had a kid.
Not just seeing the cervix, but like bruising the cervix, like, as if like that is a thing. I don't even know. And then he's like, the breasts of the women, he describes them as pomegranates, and like their nipples as like knobs. And I just like I don't know what anatomically is wrong with the women he has seen, but yes, he is hilarious. Everybody should go and listen to that podcast and see their HBO specials. It's so fun.
The dad's serious about this, right?
Yes.
Like, because it's so bad that you're like, is he pulling like super dry humor? Because like I can't tell now.
No.
I can't tell with people that are so stupid or are so insanely bad at something that you're like, I think they're fucking with me. Do you guys want to jump back into Food Fright? Because I just had to talk about that before I forgot.
Yes, actually, I want to talk about that opening chapter because
Oh.
I think probably the three of us all had that same experience reading through that first chapter and being like, "Oh my God!" Speaking, it's not quite as it's not over the top in the same way as escaping from inside of a brownie monster, but that was something, and I remember getting to the end of that and be like, I need to see where this goes next. If that's how we lead here, I need to see what else we've got in store. And I saw an interview with you where you said that you had to you had to spend some time researching what exactly happens when you put a person in an oven. So how was that?
Fun. Educational. What's really funny is that I wrote the book and I started getting reviews, and some people started putting trigger warnings on the reviews and saying excessive gore. And I was talking to a friend of mine and I was like, I I don't really know where the gore's coming from. Like, I mean, it's just food and monsters and stuff. And she was like, Nico, you started the book with a teenager getting burned alive in a fucking oven. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, I got it. Gore. Got it. Like, I'm so desensitized to it. But yeah, that was crazy. And researching it was, I mean, look, we're horror writers. It's interesting, it's educational. It's something I'd never want to like look at in any other context other than trying to write a story. But yeah, you got to grab attention. I didn't even realize like that it wasn't in the same vein of comedy until I started getting reviews. Like, I don't know if I should admit that, but like in my mind, it's just like a natural progression. Like it had to happen for the next thing to happen. So
No, I
yeah.
text Brendan when I wrote it. I'm like, that's fucking funny. Did you read that? No, in reality, I texted Brendan and I said, what the fuck?
I was gonna say, I didn't know you were joking at first. I'm like, I don't remember that. I'd have had a response there.
He was drunk and he was like, yeah, man, that was hilarious. No, that wasn't funny. Seriously, the first chapter was fucking intense. And
Sorry.
no,
I'm
that was
sorry.
no. That's everything. Like me and Brendan talk about Rewind or Die a lot because we talk to a lot of authors that are on it. I've read 4. I think he's caught up. I'm not sure how many Cassie's read, but they all have a certain formula. It's like it has to resemble, obviously, movies that were in the 80s and 90s, horror movies. When there's gore, like it's insanely over the top, and there's got to be some silly premise where you're like, you got to suspend your disbelief and have fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that people would like read past it and get to the point where we have food coming to life and it's just silly, ridiculous. And it's just a form of escapism for like an hour. So just, keep going, keep reading. I really didn't realize that it was that gory until I started getting reviews. And then it just like dawned on me like, oh, like, of course this is like intense. Like, what was I thinking? But, hindsight, right?
Oh my
But-
goodness, I did a terrible thing.
I know, right? Oh my goodness.
Cassie,
So-
what was your take on the first chapter before we go to the rest of the book?
So I think so. Wasn't that you read that for the what was the thing that we watched where you were dressed like a hot dog?
Yes.
I forget that. I'm
Wait,
really bad
what?
with names of things. She was dressed like a hot dog. It was for the Halloween in summer. Is that what it was called?
Yeah. With
Yes.
Caster, she
Yes.
had all these reading
It
all
was
their books.
amazing. Yeah, and there have been two different meetings of it. I think there were, and I've gone to both of them. And the first one was the one that Nico was in, and so she actually read. I think it was this chapter, right? Because when I was reading this again, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I think I know what's going to happen here. I was like, oh no, this is what's going to happen here. And it was like, it was so good because I had like this extra layer of having heard her read it at the same time as also reading it for myself. So I got like extra out of it. Sorry to you both who didn't. But I really loved it. Yeah, I was like, oh, like, I don't know. I did not expect, I thought it would be slower in the beginning. Like, I just expect that from books in general. Like, it's going to lead into the big stuff. And I was like, whoa, no, it did
No,
not.
we're
It
just starting at like a 10 and we're just going
Yes.
to take off from there.
And
We don't
it stayed at 10 through the whole thing. Like there are like little bitty dips where it's a little bit calmer, but there's the stakes are still high and there's still terror and there's still scary things happening. So it doesn't really let you go. Like, you don't really have a sense of like, oh, this chapter is going to be a good one. Like, it's calm. Everything's safe here. Like, no, there's a fucking brownie now. Watch out. Like,
yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad you guys found some enjoyment in it. I hope people find some. It's just a fun, over the top B horror movie type vibe. And, if you can just escape this crazy world for like an hour, then good. That's it. That's all I want.
Are we okay to say the horror trope that's in it, or is that something that we should avoid?
You can go ahead. Knock yourself out.
What do you guys think?
I think that's on the back cover, isn't it? If we're thinking about the same one.
Sure, go.
talking
I mean,
about?
whatever.
You know what? Go ahead and say it.
for
Worst case
it.
scenario, we cut it
for
because you
it.
spoil the entire thing for potential readers.
So the way that you added witches into this was really interesting.
Yeah, that was a fun twist that I didn't even realize was coming. So I think we all went on that journey together. It was
It's not posted yet, but the review that I wrote, I'm paraphrasing, but I said something to the effect of, you kept all the stuff out that we've already heard a million times, so you just jump to the good stuff, which is how good writing, in my opinion, should be. And And it just works. Sorry, I muted my mic.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. I'm glad you guys had fun with it.
And we're learning so much about your writing process tonight too, just from talking about this book. About what you can say. Yeah, exactly. What's kind of over the top, closer to fantasy versus burning somebody alive. What's fun and what's not. What's planned ahead and what is pantsed. All that good stuff.
Yes, for sure. It's a process. It's fun. I wouldn't want to do anything else. I love it.
Cassie, you want to ask any more questions about Food Fright?
Yeah. So, actually, I wanted to know, are there any, because you mentioned a couple times that you loved, Rewind or Die for the fact that it's kind of like a B horror movie. What are some of your favorite B horror movies that you've watched, or just really campy sort of things that you love?
Whew! All right, guys, settle it. I love Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes.
Yes.
I love all like Tremors, Gremlins. Oh my gosh, Leprechaun in Outer Space blew my brain apart into a gazillion pieces. So much fun. I actually used to have a podcast with a friend of mine where we watched B movies and then talked about them, and it was it was just too much for him and too much for me. At one point we had to stop, but it was great. We watched all like those 80s movies that were so great, and but I think the Leprechaun movies are probably in my top as favorites. They're just so bonkers and out of this world. So anything in space, like, I'm there for. I don't
Jason
care.
X.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, why not? Like, we don't know what else to do with our characters. Just throw them up into space and we'll just figure it out. So
They're scarier that way.
no, I mean, it's so much fun. Or like underwater. I love any movies like
That's
Shark.
a good movie.
Yeah. And people trapped under there. Like, that's always a lot of fun too. And then of course in the cold, I love cold horror. Obviously, I love cold horror. So anything like that. So, yep.
I think the space one is kind of a given. Like, it's, even if it's bad, it's bound to be interesting because, like you said, if a franchise is sending its character to space, they've run out of all other ideas, and obviously that means the character has no business being in space. So, a mythological Irish goblin thing, a supernatural serial killer that terrorizes a camp, like, if you're sending those ones to space, then you've got to react to the fact that they're going to act differently once they get there. They're going to get up to different things because of just the fact that they're not supposed to be there.
But it's so much fun watching them try to figure it all out.
Exactly.
So speaking of cold, let's talk about Shiver, a Cold Weather Horror Anthology.
Yay.
Tell us all about it. Where did it come from? Where did the idea come from?
Yeah.
And so forth.
So I love cold horror. I love horror set in Antarctica and the Arctic and like The Thing and things like that. And I wanted to read more of it, and I couldn't really find exactly what I was looking for. So I kind of put out on Twitter, like, if I did this, if I published an anthology, would anybody be interested? And I got lots of positive feedback. So I was like, all right, well, let's give this a try. And I put out the submission, and now Shiver is going to be published January 11th. With the Brennan LaFargo as one of the 30 amazing authors who will be contributing to it. And it is, oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited to put this in the world. It has seriously a little of something for everyone. It has like Native American folklore and Japanese folklore and people on icy lakes and cabins in the woods. And it has amazing queer horror and so many different representations of villains and monsters and creatures. So it is just a love note to cold horror, and I think people are going to really find it unbelievable. Yeah. Oh yeah. You guys
I'm gonna applaud real quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's on the back of the book. That's on the cover. So you guys can.
Good.
Yeah.
I was going to say that needs to be on the cover somewhere. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's definitely on the back of the book. But it is so much fun. It's 30 authors. A lot of them are first-time authors, and you won't even realize it because the quality of stories and characters and writing was just, it blew me away. It was just amazing. So I'm really excited to put it out there and to have everybody experience it. And hopefully everybody will like it.
Yeah, I was when Brennan told me he got accepted. I was really proud of him because I've read almost everything he's done, at least to my knowledge. He's a fucking good writer, as is Cassie, as is you. So, I mean, it sounds like I'm just like kissing ass, but I mean, there's a lot
Go
of good
on.
writers. There's a lot of good
I'm here
writers.
for it. I like this kind of conversation.
Cassie's on par with Laurel in tone. What I've read from
Get
you
out.
is just food fright. It's true. What I've read from you, Nico's food fright, and I think it's funny as hell. It hit every note that I wanted for that
That's
series.
cool that you haven't read my other short stories. Whatever, it's fine.
we'll,
I'm totally kidding. It's fine.
we'll talk about that later.
Just like note down the time so we can cut this off.
Patrick, would you like me to take over so you can go do that?
Brendan, why don't you take over and let Cassie take over for you so we can do it together?
Patrick is turning off his video.
Oh my God, did he really?
I think I broke your podcast, guys. I'm so sorry. Come back.
You're good. You're good. So I actually did. I've read one of your other short stories, was the one for Fright Girl Summer. And I read that actually before our meeting here because Brennan mentioned it in a text earlier. And I thought I had read it, but what I had read, what I thought he was talking about was your body positivity article. So I read that previously, which was amazing. And then obviously it's not fiction, but it's still writing. Like it's a good essay. And then I read the other one, and I'm bad with names, so I'm going to tell you that I don't remember the name of it. But I did read it. It was his women, his girls.
His women.
I believe so. Yes, His Women. I think that's the one that I gave to V to do. Yeah, that was fun. That was based off of a reading that I read. Actually, I'm in school right now. I'm in graduate school, and I read something very similar about, it's a feminist horror piece of a man who basically collects women for his own delight. And so that's kind of what I was doing. I was trying to write another version of a man who collects women for his own pleasures. And then, that man getting his ass handed to him. So
Yeah, I loved it.
yeah. And I was so grateful that V, she got me out of a rejection slump. She was like, just, submit whatever and we'll see if it works or whatever. And so I love V so much. So, and I love her website. And now it's going to be fall on their website. So lots of new authors and new people
Fright
to
Girl
check out.
Autumn.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I love it.
I love it.
Yeah, we all love V. She's amazing, and it's pretty neat that you and Cassie are both in the summer version. Do either one of you know if are you guys submitting anything else?
I don't have anything planned right now, but I'm not opposed to it. I've been doing a lot of my shop stuff, so I haven't actually been writing as much, although I have a couple of things in the middle of it, but nothing solid.
That's pretty cool. And I also did see, Nico, that you were in a romance writer contest, and it looked like you did pretty damn good in it.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
What was that like?
Back in the day, actually, I did. I got I was a semifinalist in the ACFW Genesis contest, which is actually, and not to pat myself on the shoulders, but I did. It's a big deal in the romance world. And then I got third.
That's my nickname.
I got third in the Romance Writers of America, their Tennessee branch, for a progressive liberal thing, but you only do your first chapter, so I don't think they realized what was going to happen later in the story. But it was exciting,
That's awesome. Third place is great.
Yeah, it was really fun. I like getting the feedback. When you submit to contests, you usually get feedback from industry big people, like publishers and agents and editors. And so that's why I enjoy doing it. I like to see what they have to say to me.
I didn't know that was a thing. Note to self, I should submit to some contests.
Yeah, but they also cost some money sometimes. So it's a little bit of do you really want to pay? Do you really want to not pay? I don't know. It's like a whole gatekeeper thing with me. I don't know. Everything should be free. That's my theory.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't think things should be only for people who can afford it.
Yeah.
Guys, that's socialism.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We keep getting political. We're sorry.
I'm so sorry.
It's actually been me both times. I'm the Cassie.
Brennan, what did I say? You can't say fuck Trump.
I can't say fuck Trump.
Don't say fuck Trump. That's right.
I won't say fuck Trump.
Okay, good boy. Okay, I guess it's my turn. Sorry, my apologies. There is something on your website that I really did enjoy. I liked you got a directory of feminist horror writers. I think that's helpful for anyone that actually, wants to check it out and isn't aware of a lot of them because there's a lot of names that I'm not familiar with.
Oh yeah.
How long did it take you to put that together?
It's an ongoing thing. If anybody wants to be on it, just find me, nicobellfiction.com, and contact me, and I'll just check you out and put you on. It doesn't matter what gender you are, as long as you define yourself as a feminist horror writer. So whatever that means to you, everybody has a bit of a different definition. And then it's just a nice directory for people who maybe are trying to get into that genre and read something a little bit different. So I actually had a guy who was really angry about that list. Somebody who I met through school who he was very anti-feminist, and he was like, if you only define yourself as a feminist, you're really just going to miss out on everything in literature. And I'm just like, oh boy. But if you want to see a feminine list, I do have one ongoing. And I think it's helpful because, it's hard to tell where we are in the world sometimes. So a directory might be nice.
Yeah,
Makes me wonder if that's the type of guy who would describe breasts as pomegranates in his own fiction.
I feel like that's probably it. Yeah, doorknob. Obviously anatomically correct.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to handle doorknobs the same as women's nipples. I think. I don't know.
Go on, Patrick. I want to hear more on this.
Now we enter the educational portion of the podcast.
Well, from my understanding, some women like it and some don't, and I don't know. That's all I gotta say. Some are like, yeah, treat it like a doorknob, like a bag of sand, or
a bag of sand. Oh, we're getting into some weird stuff.
He's just grasping at random words.
I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying. I'm either gonna piss people off or they're gonna shut this episode off. So, Brian, why don't you take over?
No, I kind of like watching you tread water, if I'm honest.
I'm gonna shut my video off again.
Actually, I want to. We really steered away from Shiver very quickly, and
let's go back to Shiver.
I wanted to comment real quickly. You said, there's a lot of first-time authors on there, and you would never know the difference. And I would just throw out there that Nico has been a really fantastic editor to work with, and I think that that's definitely going to play a part in that. Very, very easy to work with, very receptive to ideas. It's not just this is what you should do. It's more of a let's talk about this vibe, and just very wonderful to communicate with. And now I'm talking about you rather than to you, but it's I don't have a lot of experiences to compare it with, but it's been a positive one.
Okay,
and I would imagine that most of the other people, if not all of them, would probably say something similar.
I hope so. I mean, I was trying because I've been on the rejection side of things for a long time, and this is sort of the first time I really had a chance to be an editor with so many people, and I didn't want to destroy anybody's spirits, break anybody's dreams, as I've had done to myself many times. And I understand, writers have a vision for their work and that we have to work together. There were some writers that, didn't have a lot of edits, and there were some that I was like, okay, I love this. Let's see if we can make more and make it work. And some were like, this isn't for me. Like, the direction you want to take it is not for me. And they decided to walk away, and that's totally fine. And some were like, let's work together, and that works too. So I hope everybody had a positive experience overall. I would love to do this again sometime, maybe make it an annual thing. So hopefully more people will submit, and the people who are in it will resubmit. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the process. I think everybody's going to really enjoy reading it. Like, I just cannot wait for you guys to read these stories. They're so good. They really blew me away.
And I'm excited to see all of the rest of them as well. So if you were going to do it annually, would it always be cold weather, or would it be different themes that you could find a pun to work around?
So I have a kid, he's 12, and he told me that I should do a urine-based one and call it Urine Trouble. So I feel like this might be just where we end up someday. But no, I think that it would be actually fun to leave it up to the Twitter universe every year. I mean, that's how this one got. I wanted to do Cold, and I asked, and I put out some other ideas too, like feminist horror or creature features or whatever, and everybody just really loved the Cold theme. And so maybe next year do another poll and then see what everybody wants to do, and give writers a chance to be published. I mean, that's what I really wanted to do. It was so hard to reject people because I know what that's like, especially when you're a first-time writer. And I really want to say nobody had a bad story. Truly, nobody had a bad story. It really was like we just have way too many Frozen Lake stories, way too many Cabin in the Woods stories, and I just couldn't have that many in one anthology. Or things like that. Or somebody just did like 5,000 words instead of 4,000. So, I mean, that's really what it was. And hopefully those people submit other places. But yeah, so next year it would be kind of fun to put it back into the universe and then help more people, get the word out and get their stories out.
What has your experience been like since this is your first time publishing and editing? Like, how has that been different for you from submitting and from your previous experiences as a writer?
I really love editing. I'm graduating grad school in May, and I would love to become an editor and that be my job as well as writing and being published. That's the dream, but like to get like a living, I think it'd be fun to be an editor. Publishing, I'm very nervous about. I'm going to be very honest. I've never done it. I'm going to do it through Amazon. I'm going to do it step by step. I might be cursing the entire way through. There might be some broken glasses and stuff around me. But at the end of the day, hopefully it will all go smoothly. So we're just going to have to wait and see how that goes. But I have a lot of friends who have done it before, and they're going to be my support system, whether they like it or not. So there we go.
I'm excited.
Are you going to paperbacks as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Sweet.
And you haven't... Sorry.
I was just going to say I'm asking because I'm going to have it... I'm definitely buying one and putting it on my shelf.
Nice.
That's all. That's it.
Nice. Yep.
You haven't announced... You're making the announcements later this month, was it? Or have you announced yet?
I have announced the table of contents and everything, and then the cover art, will be announced very soon because I just got it in, and I'm so excited. I love it so much. That's one thing I'm terrible at is art. So I was so excited to find somebody that was going to work with me and my budget and everything and make it happen. So yeah, it's going to be good.
I can't wait to see it.
That's fantastic. Are you going to end up doing that urine theme book next year?
Who knows? Wouldn't that be great to do like a young adult one and open it to like anyone under 17, and then they can just write urine monsters or whatever they want to do? Just go for it.
You should do one about poop.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be great? Really devolved.
Pat's got a good story about poop that he could use, is what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I submitted it to Max Booth, and Ken McKinley asked me what the fuck's wrong with me when I submitted to Midnight in the Pentagram. I'm sure, like, he's a friend of ours in the show. I don't know if he'll think it's funny that I'm mentioning this, but he often, in a group chat with me, Brennan, and him, likes to, Brennan liked to make fun of me about it. And Cassie's the main character. She read it. I got her approval because she thought it was funny, as did her boyfriend. So
I'm going to be clear. There's a character that has colorful hair named Cassie, who is the main character. Me, myself. It is very funny, though. It's very out there, and I had a lot of fun reading it.
So Ken McKinley asked what the fuck's wrong with me, and if I led pain as a kid. I'm sure Max will say something similar. So if that doesn't work out, let's talk.
Okay.
I have to say, man, I love that you've gotten to the point with that story where you're now trying to commission an anthology just so you have a place to put it. And if you want to share it with the world so much.
His dedication is unreal.
It's called Evil Little Shit. So, I mean, just putting that out there. No, and you know what? I think it's as ridiculous as her food fight. Just my unbiased opinion.
Ridiculous in a good way, but it's very out there. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great, man. You should do it. You should start your own anthology. Just anything that comes out of your body. That's the theme. And then just work around it.
That's a great way to say no.
That is.
Oh, that's such a good idea. You know what? You should have it. You should do it.
So diplomatic. I love it. I'm going to use that.
That's like when anybody like finds out you're a writer and they're like, I've got a great story for you. And then you always go like, that's great. You should write it.
I had a Yeah, I had just in case he listens to this, I'm not making fun of him. Doubt he listens to the show, but this guy I met one time at my sister's wedding suggested he had a neat idea for a story, but he's like, "Hey, I want to write a screenplay and hit up Netflix, and I think that, what if you write it because you liked it?" And I'm like, you know what? No, but I said it in a nice way because I'm thinking like, so you came up with the idea and you want me to do all the work. On top of that, I don't write screenplays at this point in time because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. No, it's not that easy. There's a lot
Oh,
of work. And Netflix, like, they won't even spit on me. They're not even gonna look at me.
no offense, but yeah, you're probably right. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's kind of a long shot. Yeah, I get my family. My dad comes to me all the time. Hey, I got a great idea for a story. Like he'll text me and call me, and I'm like, just write it. Just sit down and write your story and leave me alone.
It's pretty wild when people find out that you're a writer because you get stories like, "Hey, my friend wrote a book once, or he thought about it." Oh, cool! I don't give a fuck. Everyone's a writer.
Or they think it's really easy. That's the other thing. It's like, oh, I'll write a book too. Like, oh, because you could just sit down and write it one day. Yep, that's how it works.
And then most of those people, if you give constructive criticism, it's like you kick their mom you know in the butt or something.
In the what?
Right in the cervix.
If you kick
And
if
that's
you
perfect.
you kicked her right in the doorknob.
Oh my god.
So, I'm really not sure where we segue to and from that point of kicking your mom in the nipples. So, who wants to take over?
Oh my gosh.
Who's
So much fun.
capable of taking over at this point?
I don't know.
Actually, I'm kind of curious. Obviously, if you put it into your poll, cold weather horror is of interest to you. What are some of your favorites, whether they be books or movies?
Of cold weather?
Yeah.
I really like The Thing. That was sort of the inspiration for it. And actually, if I'm being like completely honest, I was a bit disappointed. I got one story set in Antarctica, one story set in the Arctic, and that was it. Like I thought I was gonna get tons, and that was it. So I was a little bummed about that. But yeah, that was probably my favorite. And then there's some books. Oh, William Meikle did Infested, which is a really quick read, creature feature read. That was a lot of fun too. I love that. Um, yeah, I would say those are probably my top two. There's like one with like Kate Beckinsale where I think it's called Whiteout, and they're down there and it's like the 6 months of winter, and that was a fun movie. And there's actually a book very similar to it. I think it's called Arctic Chill or something like that. And they're down there during the 6 months where there's darkness and nobody can get to them, and there's like this creature, and that's fun. And I'm actually writing a Arctic horror that's going to be submitted to the adventure horror theme that every writer under the sun is writing for right now. It's probably the most competitive submission for Off Limit Press, I believe.
Yep.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. Is everybody writing for it? Are we all doing it? Are we all like going to be fighting each other for a spot?
I am not.
I'll let Brennan go. Cassie?
No, I'm not.
I
I'm
was
a baby
freaked out.
writer, y'all. I only just started like this year, so I'm not ready for something so cool yet. But I've been submitting to anthologies, so I have 2 anthologies that my stories are going to be in that are coming out this year, and then we'll see what next year brings. But maybe I'm thinking about the Unnerving one, which just because I love the Rewinder Die book so much, and that would be so cool to do. Yeah, and Eddie's super cool, and he's so nice. Yeah,
so great. He was so nice. It was so fantastic to work with editing, and you had only have to pitch to it. You don't have to have the full story, so it's it doesn't hurt you to pitch.
It's fair. It's fair. Yeah. It's giving me the confidence.
So there's no reason, Cassie. I can't see your face. Your video is not here, but I'm pointing to you, Cassie. No reason.
I'm gonna get a webcam. I'll get one. Pat keeps telling me, he's like, you need a webcam. You got to be on video for these. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Pat, please.
You know what though? Nico's got a point. You did just kind of announce that you were thinking about it. And we're recording, and there's no way in hell we're gonna cut that. So you're committed now.
I heard that she is doing it. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I heard.
I guess I have to
am
now.
doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Peer pressure.
Full disclosure, if you asked really nice, we would cut it. But
No, you're good. You're
okay, good, committed.
I need somebody to hold me accountable, right?
Yeah,
That's the best way to do
hey,
it.
we got you.
Just met with silence. It's fine, guys. No problem.
Pat, I've forgotten. Are you writing for that Off Limits anthology, or is Nico the clear-cut winner here?
Well, I had an idea, and actually, because I talk to Sam every now and then, I threw my idea at her, and she's like, yeah, that could work. And then I didn't write it because I can't. I got a good idea. It's not going anywhere, and I got other submissions I'm working on. So I'm like, I don't think this story is gonna work, even though the idea sounds neat. So I'm not gonna waste her time with a bad story. So,
There's always next time.
yeah, I want to work with Sam. I have been a big fan of her in general since True Crime came out, which was only this year.
Was
Is that
it just
weird?
This year?
True
It's
crime.
been a long year.
Oh my
True-
god!
Has it? What's been going on? I
True
haven't been online.
True Crime came out in January of 2020.
That
Oh
was
my
so good.
gosh.
Brennan
was a
got an
lifetime
arc
ago.
about a month or two before that, I think.
Brag.
Yeah, I got it like in December.
Son
So
of a bitch.
Yeah, right.
no big deal.
Hmm.
That book blew me away. I was, enamored with the cover and everything, and then, you get into it, you're like, oh my goodness, this absolutely stands up to what the cover promised me. Definitely one of the best books that's come out this year.
And something that I read in that was in that story, and this doesn't really ruin it, that I never personally read in a book before was the main character, female, kept talking about how she wished she could cut her breasts off. I'm like, that's interesting. Like, that's because we were talking earlier about, like, basically different points of views, and I'm just thinking, like, I wonder if there's more to that story. We don't really explore that, but I didn't know if that meant, like, she's always felt like, she's I don't know what the right term is. She's always felt like she's a man, or like she just doesn't like her breasts, or I didn't know what that meant. I'm done with this stuff. So I just wanted to know more about that. That wasn't the point of the whole true crime story, but I thought that was interesting. I never read that stuff before.
I think for as my perspective from that one, I think it was about just being like an object of something that could be sexualized. And those, having breasts is something that can be sexualized by other people. And that was like a theme in the book too. So maybe the character might have felt too. Not to try to investigate another book or anything like that, but that could be just for your personal knowledge as another interpretation. That could be something. That's how I took it.
Yeah, Cassie, I'd agree with you. I kind of saw that as like a response to a continued pattern of abuse.
Wow. Yeah, Brennan, jump in after she makes a smart
So it
opinion.
sounds like two people really got it. And one person didn't.
Poor Pat.
Is that
We love you,
what
Pat.
That's all right. I'll stick to my punching bags.
I hear there's these stores that sell just the gloves. They don't sell anything else. Just gloves.
A whole
You
store
could
of
call
these.
it just gloves.
That's, you know what? There's a pizzeria that was across, adjacent to my home called Just Pizza. And you go in, it's like literally the bare minimum of decorations. Like there's like, because we're in Philadelphia Eagles country, there's like a Philadelphia Eagles signed helmet and a picture of their quarterback. That was it. And it's like you don't have a menu. There's just like paper menus. There's no like menu behind the counter. It's just pizza. There's no fries. There's the sodas like just in the fridge, and it's all 20 out, like the single ones, and
This
it's
sounds
like
a very normal place.
it no way. It's bare minimum of everything. Sorry, you know what? I'm used to shit where you get lots of options. You get fries or
Pizza
so
place?
fancy and posh.
I know. I've never been to a
Gosh.
pizza place that gives you fries. Hang
wait,
on.
really? Wait, really?
No,
Sorry,
really.
man. I sound like a dick then.
We get like salad. There's a salad with or breadsticks. You
Yeah,
mean
pizza's
you mean
kind of a weird choice to go with.
with French fries, right? That's so
Yeah.
carby. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
with the breadsticks too, but I mean, I would eat it, but I've never been offered it. Nobody's given me the option. I would say yes if they did.
Yeah.
Brennan, help me out here. You're from the same place. I grew up.
Exactly, and I'm thinking that you're thinking of Papa Gino's. Is that true?
Who,
You're not
me?
thinking of.
No, he's
yeah.
talking about just pizza.
It was
Oh
just-
no! See, when he says, that it's a staple to have a place that sells French fries with pizza, there's a chain. It's through New England. I don't know how far south it extends past that, but
It's not very good.
Spent all
outta
this
here,
time
man.
talking about pizza place that's not very good.
Get out of here. Papa Gino's is excellent.
I used to work at one, man. Fuck that place.
I hope Papa
Don't tell
Gino's
me
isn't
stories
listening.
about it. I
Harsh.
still
They're
eat
not
there
going to sponsor
sometimes.
you
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Goodness.
no way. No free
Exactly.
pizza in your future.
The deal was in the books, man, and you just blew it.
You blew it.
But to
Big
be fair,
mistake.
if it's just if it's just pizza, they shouldn't offer drinks. Like
That's true.
or they should put the drinks on the sign.
There's no sign. There's only a football helmet or something, some sort of sports equipment on the wall for some reason in a pizza place.
Wait, are you in Pennsylvania?
I'm in New Jersey, right near Atlantic
Oh.
City.
I was going
What?
to say, because when I was in Pennsylvania, I had a salad with French fries on it, and I was wondering if that's just like a state thing, if they're just throwing fries on everything. No, I'm not against that. I would
So
love that. I'm just wondering.
What kind of dressing do they put with a French fry salad?
Oh, you can get any dressing you want, and it's just fries on top. So, like, get your ranch, get your French, and then, just indulge in French fry salad.
So my story is not weird, but weird, but like French fry salads, not weird to anyone.
Yeah, that's basically what we're saying. I don't
I was
understand why.
desensitized with French fried
That's
pizza.
true.
Nico,
It
everything
came in hot,
flies
just
over.
the French fry.
Everything flies over my head. You got to be like, look, here's the joke, and then I'll be like, oh, ha ha ha,
That's how he laughs every time.
every time.
We've been doing a lot of picking on you tonight, and I, for one, am not going to continue it for at least the next 3 minutes.
Let's
You know
talk about.
why? It feels like you guys are like siblings. So, and then I just like to pick on people in general. That's just who I am. I feel like we should just get that into the open. So it's
You like
just
to
fun.
burn people in ovens.
It's not even a big deal. It's not even her whole day.
I know, right?
That's how she
That
starts.
shit
the day.
happens before 9 a.m.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean a horrific death? What? That was
I
breakfast.
know, it's like gory. What's gory?
It's her Wheaties.
Cool. Now we've gotten into cannibalism. That's great.
So I wanted to talk about the movie Frozen just to see if you guys watched that when it came out.
I like Frozen too.
I didn't know there was a sequel.
What? It's
Wow.
way better than the first one. Go watch it. The
Gosh.
songs are just, ooh, they're so beautiful.
Wait. Oh, I can understand the confusion. Holy shit. I just realized that there's a Frozen horror movie. No, I meant the Frozen horror movie where the kids get stuck on the ski lift and then
Let's talk
Oh.
about the princess one instead.
Oh, wait, I definitely thought we were talking about the princess one.
I totally
I also
forgot that
did.
one existed for a
Ooh,
moment.
this looks good. Frozen. Oh man, I'm gonna have to watch this. Look
Yeah,
at
so
this.
so
This looks good.
there's like 3 dudes or 2 dudes that get stuck on a ski lift. The resort closes down for that Friday. For some reason, they check the ski lift, and eventually gray wolves come up, and yeah, bad stuff happens.
That looks really good. I'm looking at some of the stills there. I love movies like that. I love movies where there's one singular setting and it's all character driven. Anything like that, I'm down for. I try to write stuff like that, and it really doesn't work very well for me. I don't think I have like the skill level yet to pull that off, but that's what I love.
Well,
Character driven.
yeah, and you know what's crazy? The horror Frozen came out 3 years before the animated Frozen. So I'm just curious, like, did they not give a fuck? And they're like, well, it doesn't matter. This is gonna work. Because I didn't even remember that the animation existed. I was talking about the horror Frozen.
They,
didn't even
they
know that was a
said,
movie.
we're Disney and we can do whatever we want.
They can.
That's fair.
They own so many things like PBS, ESPN, and Marvel and Star Wars. Like, they can do anything.
It's true, including not caring about a small budget horror movie.
So, Nico, we're curious. What are you working on now?
I am working on a horror novella about a reclusive young woman named Alex who has to use the skills she learned from her abusive past to outwit a murderess. That is
Ooh.
what I'm working on right now. It's going to be kind of body horror this time around, but there's definitely going to be some fun to it. Right now, the working title is Not Today, Motherfuckers. And so it's definitely going to have some craziness to it. But I'm trying to get that done. I'm trying to get that done for like early spring next year so that I can submit over the summer.
That sounds like something that Grindhouse Press would release. That title, anyways.
I would love that. Come to me, Grindhouse.
CV Hunt is pretty awesome. I haven't talked to her a whole lot, but she's just pretty a downright awesome person. She's got a funny sense of humor. I don't know if she's like funny in general. I just mean based off of the the title's like, come on, cocksucker, and there's a chicken on the cover. Isn't that? That's funny to me. I don't know if she's trying to be funny. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Cock's like, I'm easy to please. Put a chicken on the cover with the word cock.
Don't even need the word cock. Just a chicken on the cover. That's
Nico, let's reschedule. I think I should delete this whole episode because I sound like a fucking idiot.
You're doing great.
Aw, thanks. I feel better. Pat on my back.
I love that you're talking about other podcast guests, though, and how awesome they are. That's just really hitting a home run for me as a podcast guest.
CV Hunt hasn't been a guest yet. That's a good idea.
Oh.
I'm making a note. If we get her on, we're going to spend at least 30 minutes talking about Nico, okay?
Yes, please do. A
Also
complete no name in horror. Please do.
Not today, motherfucker. Give a little plug and be like, hey, go talk to her about this.
So, as far as your novella in progress, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that we can't expect any brownie monsters in this one.
No, there will be monsters, but not brownie monsters. It will be another fun one, but I cannot say.
I won't ask. No,
don't you dare, Brendan LaFargo. Don't you
now
dare.
I would like to ask.
No, it's forbidden. It's gonna
Okay,
be fun though. It's another fun one. It's just something to escape from the world for a little bit. That's my goal these days, is just to write things to escape from the world.
No, that's interesting. No, I read an interview, and I don't know if you were talking about this book or a different one, but you said what you had in progress right now was you would describe as grief horror. Is that the same one?
Oh no, that's a different one. Oh yeah. Yeah. I do write a lot about grief though, and death and family connections. I mean, that's just sort of something that is just naturally flows from me. So no, this one is more about survival and finding inner strength in the face of hardships, I would say. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, because I got a little concerned that I might have mixed up something when you talked about how it was going to be fun. But then I'm like, but it's grief horror. By definition, grief horror is not fun.
Not usually, no.
Not usually. I suppose there's a first time for everything. And if somebody was grieving in the guise of a giant brownie monster, that would objectively be fun. But I don't think that's where you're going with it.
No, probably not this time around. We'll see what the future holds.
On the cover, what kind of is that? The very last monster of Food Fright?
That is not, well, from my point of view, it's not any monster, to be honest. I think it's a pumpkin is what Eddie put on it. I mean, he did all the covers. He did a great job with it. I think it's just a random image.
Oh, I thought the croissant, but I thought he had jalapeno eyes. And then when he just had burnt little eyes, I was like, oh, the jalapenos are burnt.
Oh, well, hey, that works too. I mean,
That's
however
what
you want to interpret
that's just what I thought, yeah.
However you
I
want
like
to
the bookmark too. You got the bookmark from Carly.
Yes, I got the
That's
bookmark. I was so excited. She did a fantastic job. The croissant monster is now alive as a bookmark from A Stranger Dream that you can go and buy it. It is so cool. I love it.
Is it called Francois?
Yeah, well, that's in my name. I mean, you guys can name him whatever you want. It would be wrong because his name is Francois. But that is, yes, that's what his name is.
I'm going to name him Fuck Brennan.
There you go.
Because fuck you, Brennan. You've been a dick all night.
I love how I've been just as rude, but I get excluded from that, and I'm golden. I'm like the angel child over here, like, not fuck me.
I feel like if
I can't see you, so
yeah,
That's fair.
I feel like if I say that to you, you might think I'm being serious, and I'd feel like a dick.
You'll just start hearing sniffling on the other end. And you're like, oh crap.
That would be so sad.
She's got a really good point. I know you don't mean it, and there is nothing you can say to drive me away. So
that sounds like a challenge. All right, I'm gonna put 2 minutes on the clock.
I love Brennan.
All right, give me your best.
I know.
That's not your best.
Game over. I lose.
Okay, cool. Challenge up. Nico, when we were talking about kind of your finding your way from romance all the way to horror, there was one thing I read that I found really interesting, that you kind of hit a point, and if I'm off base here, please correct me, but you kind of hit a point where you realized in your writing that you could kind of do what you wanted. You know, you didn't have to follow a formula. And you mentioned that Chuck Palahniuk was a big inspiration for kind of pushing through that hurdle. I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I really love Chuck and his work. He has a new book out, and the only thing I asked for my birthday was this book. You have it! I'm so jealous. Yes, mine will be here next week.
Wait, you should ask where Brennan heard of it first.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but I read an article that he had said that he used to be in critique groups, and he talks about this a lot actually, and he was asked to leave one because his horror was so horrific and that it was just all gross. Like, his writing is gross, you know? And I just really admired that he really stuck to his guns in that, and he didn't like mold it to be more marketable or whatever. Like, he knew who he was as a writer and he stuck to it. And that is something that I really wanted to be able to do. And that's just a piece of advice that I've been taking with me ever since I kind of left romance, is just try to find the things you want to write and stick to them, regardless of whether they're marketable or not. Like, write for yourself and the stories you want to tell and the stories you want to read. And so that's what I've been hopefully doing. And I love Chuck, and he has a book out on writing, and it's so much fun. It's like a little antidotes plus that. And so everybody should go get it. I'm going to plug him. Everybody should go get Chuck Palahniuk's book on writing, because it's really good and I love it. Yeah.
He's got a great, This Is Hard, just had him on a couple weeks ago. He was very interested in that, and he had a lot of neat stuff to say about near future technology, writing. He's very helpful with new writers too, which is amazing.
Yeah. He's somebody I would never actually want to meet, because he's like my idol. I never actually want to meet Chuck Palahniuk, because I think, first of all, I would just like be a mush of like mumbling just gaga-ness for him. And then it's just like, I don't think so. I love him to death. He's my idol as a writer, but I don't think I ever want to actually meet him in person.
I'm glad to hear you say that book on writing is good, because I've been considering pulling the trigger on that, and I think I will.
Yeah, it has like really interesting tips that you wouldn't find in other books. It's not just like mechanics of writing, but just from his personal perspective, how he got to where he is. So that's really cool.
Now onto the fun part of what are you reading, or do you want to recommend any books that you have read recently?
Oh my goodness, I've been reading a lot recently. Actually, I'm reading Devil's Creek right now. Which I'm kind of slow on the game for that one. It's been taking me like a while to start it. But
how far are you in?
I am just to part 2, so I just got through kind of the intro and everything, and it's already really creeping me out. So I'm really excited about that one.
It gets better as it goes along.
Have no doubt.
The ending's so fucking crazy.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I just read the Europia Ascent, which is a kind of a science fiction horror creature feature set on the moon of Jupiter, which was a self-published book, which was pretty cool. Tiny font, but cool concept of a book. Please don't make tiny font, people. That's my PSA to everybody. No tiny.
How tiny? Do you have to squint?
Like, I did. It took me 3 times just to like get into reading the book, because I was so angry at the little tiny words. But once I was like, I just gotta fucking read this book. Like, then I sat down and did it, and it was great.
Fire is shooting out of her eyes as we speak.
Don't do tiny print. Yeah, so I did that one, and that one was good once I got past it. I read This Is Not a Ghost Story, which was pretty good. That's making the rounds in the ARC world and on NetGalley. And yeah, so those are what I've been reading lately. So good stuff.
Nice. How about you, Cassie?
So I finished Food Fight today, and then I'm reading Whisper of Death by Christopher Pike, because we're recording an episode of the Pikecast tomorrow for that one, and so I'm a last minute kind of girl. So here I am with my book, and then I got, in addition to yours, Nico, I got Kirby Kellogg's Trampled Crown from the Rewind or Die series. So I got that one for my birthday as well. And then I'm going to be reading that one right after Whisper of Death. And then also I'm buddy reading The Stand with Becca and just some people on like Rich and some people on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. So I've never read it before, and it's a big boy. So we'll see.
Are you reading the uncut version?
My book says the complete and uncut edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that a big thing? Is that a big difference?
It's I think it's 400 more
Jeez.
words,
I
right?
think you're right. No, pages.
I mean pages.
Words I can do.
Okay.
Pages. Like,
Sorry.
big difference.
It's an entire page and a half longer.
Yeah,
Oh my
those
gosh.
400 words. He's like,
Oh yeah. So
400
I'm looking-
pages. That's bonkers.
Right. So it's over 1,100 pages. I just looked at. And
What?
I know. So I
Too
read
long.
it in a week, and that one's like 1,100 also. And so I did that not this year, but last January. So I have faith in myself. I also have a history of overestimating my abilities. So we're gonna see.
the Stand's a good, just like super quick. I won't spoil it. I like it. It's a good book. I didn't love the ending. King is like hit or miss. It's a sucky ending, or it's a really good ending. I didn't like it, but what about you, Brennan or Nico? If you've read it, yeah. Okay, Brennan, what about you?
I can see your problem with it. I don't think it's the biggest swing and a miss he ever took on an ending. I think that one belongs to Under the Dome. But I could definitely see the issues with it.
Or it.
But hey, that's a great job of disparaging her from telling her the
I know.
ending's bad when she's about to like spend the next like 6 weeks of her life.
It's
I'm like,
only
this is a
1,100
thick book.
words.
And I'm
Nope.
just gonna.
It's a really good book, though. Yeah, I don't want
Oh.
to discourage you. I didn't even think of that. I should probably thought of that before I said anything.
The ending sucks, but hey, at least it's long.
That should be the tagline.
Oh God, I'm looking forward to this.
Stephen King's tagline.
Yeah.
It's not the worst. It's one of those things for me. I'm like, if I was a writer, I wouldn't have written it that bad. I'm just joking.
You're
All right.
really selling it. You're doing a great
No.
job.
No,
It
I
is a
can't,
good-
I can't.
It has some really neat stuff in it. Brennan, just why don't you say what you're reading right now?
Just don't let Pat criticize it though, or tell you about the ending.
Well,
So sorry.
I always try and stay ahead of him so that won't happen. But I'm reading The Invention of Sound. I'm probably almost halfway through that. I am also reading and enjoying the absolute hell out of Tim Wagner's
Reading.
Writing in the Dark. And it is just packed full. Like every chapter is, I found something useful in it. And I like that he gives like a lot of exercises, a lot of anecdotes, a lot of try this, try that, try the other thing. Really excellent. And I am about to start Mojo Rising by Bob Pastorella.
Ooh,
I
that
like
looks
that
cool.
cover.
Yeah.
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 Unfortunately, Cassie, it has kind of a boring spine color. So as much as the cover is very interesting, it wouldn't add as much to your bookshelf as some other titles.
That's okay. That's what the non-color organized sections are for.
There you
Everything
go.
else.
Patrick, how about you?
I'm reading Slash by Hunter Shea. I'm 70 pages in. I like it. It's really neat. It is basically just the psychological effects that happens to the loved ones of a slasher. It's something that I never really read before, not in this much detail. I like it. It's really cool. I'm like 1/3 of the way through, I think. So yeah, I like it. We'll talk to Hunter later this month.
I think I got an arc of that one and I read it before it came out. I liked it. I think from what I remember, it was like a unique twist on the slasher without giving anything away.
I think you have to do that too. I think your straightforward slasher in book form is not overly successful just because it's so dependent on the cinematic version is so dependent on the visuals that it just doesn't translate to a literary version unless you put something really interesting like Slash or like Standalone by Paul Michael Anderson.
The Mannequin by Stephen Graham Jones is really good too.
Yeah,
like a sort of a slasher situation.
The Night of the Mannequins? Is that
Night
the
of
one?
Mannequins, yeah.
Yes, that was an awesome
I
book.
love that book.
Don't
That
tell
was
me
great.
what happens though, but I'm excited because I think I'm going to be reading that one after the stack I told you all about.
Yeah.
Are they? Can you
I-
tell me? So, is it? There are mannequins though. Is that just a play on the title, or is that in the book?
I mean,
You can't say without spoiling. No, is that a spoiler telling me about that? Okay, never mind. It's fine. It's fine. I can't tell, and I don't like.
I
to
don't
read
know
too
that
much,
it's a
so I'm
spoiler,
avoiding
but I mean,
reviews.
it's not a super artsy title that doesn't make sense, if that
Okay,
answers your
all right,
question.
that does. Thank you. That does, because sometimes there are titles and they're like, oh, I can kind of see maybe the people were very wooden. You don't know. It could have been something.
like a
So
metaphor. It's not a
yeah,
metaphor.
okay,
No.
thank
And
you.
it's
That's
Stephen Graham Jones, so I mean
I'm
that's
psyched for
a
it.
fair question. You should also know that despite the title, Night of the Mannequins, portions of the story do happen during the day as well.
Thank you.
I
Yes.
deserve that one. Thank you.
Spoiler alert. Thank you. Yes.
Yep.
Nico, is there anything else that you want to talk about or let us all know about before we say night or good day or whatever? Whoever's listening to this in the morning, maybe morning. See you later.
No, I don't think so. Thank you so much for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a great time. Where can people follow you?
You can go on Twitter at Nico Bell Fiction or Instagram at Nico Bell Fiction, or check out my website at nicobellfiction.com.
I fucked that up. I'm so sorry. I thought we were working together.
Wow. No, we're not.
Ian, I'm on your website right now. Look, all right, let's record a new episode tomorrow. Pretend I didn't talk at all. I'm not talking in the next recording of our episode.
It's just gonna be Brennan and me, and we're just gonna interview Nico.
I'm just gonna watch and listen.
You know what, though, man? I mean, the entire reasoning behind this is because usually it's just me being kind of a dickhead, and now you've got Cassie's taking shots hidden behind her anonymous blue screen, and it really didn't take long for Nico to get in on the action as well.
All right, you know what? You're all a bunch of dicks. Later. Brennan, thank you for joining me as always, Captain Dick. Nico, thank you for not being a dick that much. I mean, you are a lovely guest.
Thank you.
Cassie, I regret having you on as a guest host. Thank you for being a dick.
You are
Seriously,
welcome.
though, I really appreciate you coming on with us again. Third time for you. It has been very fun. We hope that you are. And actually, the next time you're on will be with Haley Piper for her Off Limit Press book, and that'll be really fun to dig into. Nico, it was a pleasure talking to you, and we would love to have you on with your next book or possibly with your anthology, depending on how all that works out.
Depending on how that works out.
Why do you
Okay.
have to word things?
Nope.
So, like,
Why are you the way you are?
you guys would let me back. Okay, got it. I will earn.
Oh, God.
That's like, how can I word this the worst way possible? I'm gonna go for it.
All right, fine.
So much.
You
Brennan
like
and
to take
Cassie.
us out without offending anyone?
I just found my my outtake clip.
Well, thank you. Yes, I would love to come back whenever. Thank you.
Nico, what I meant to say
How
was,
the-
if you're not gonna be a
No,
dick,
I know
and
what you meant to say. I know what you meant to say.
depending on if it's good or not, you'll come.
Yes.
I really don't know what I was trying to say. Now I can't say it in a serious way.
Yeah, you fucking men are all the same.
I know, right? Thank you.
Why are men?
All right, Brendan, why don't you log us out?
No.
Let
Nico-
you do your own thing a little bit longer.
Let's try this again, Nico. We would love to have you on, depending on if it's.
All right, no, I seriously will take it this time because sorry, man. I mean, we scrambled your brain, and now I feel legitimate guilt. Nico, we would love to have you back when you get that next novella ready to go out. You can come back to us. You can talk about it. We can ridicule Pat, or we can just be genuinely good to each other. However the mood strikes that night.
Okay.
Depending on if it's.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It was really fun talking to you.
It
I'm
really
glad that
was
we could
fun.
do
Thank
this.
you.
Okay.